you go through life and you meet somebody, or you meet a couple of people, or you meet something. It changes your life in some certain way. And that happened to me 3 years ago. Well, about three and a half years ago, whenever I met Chip Paul and Cynthia, and we talked about starting Herbage Magazine.
Yep.
And the importance that you felt that the knowledge and education needed to be out there for the patients.
Yes.
And your concern for the people is what really drew me in.
Yeah.
It was instantly not something flashy. It was something medicinal, and it would help people. And now we're sitting here with you two, and you own Truemedx, and I'm really thankful that you guys are here.
Thank you, James. Yeah, thank you. And ditto. You've done a good job of helping build and promote, this industry, and kind of helping get the underpinnings going, and helping people take off, and giving them a platform. Giving good people a voice. So I appreciate everything you've done too. So.
Well, it's a village. So,
yeah.
And it really is. I mean, we're all part of it. So I'm glad that we're all here.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tara told me 2 weeks ago that you guys would be coming up on our podcast, and I was like, yes, I can't wait. So it's been this long. So tell us what you've been up to.
Oh gosh, well, you want to start? Or you want me to start? So
he's better at telling stories.
So we're always up to something. I guess it just it depends on the lane. But New Pharma is our science and technology company. New Pharma has been around since 2015. We have the first ever issued patent on engineering for the endocannabinoid system using non-cannabis things. So we hold kind of a unique, distinct place in history, if you will. We work with the University of Mississippi, so that is continuing to progress. I would say that we're kind of on the crest of the wave, if you will, of science, of where this is going. So, cannabis works because it affects something that we all have, and our dogs have, and our birds have, and our reptiles have, called an endocannabinoid system. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what we study, and then we study how to manipulate that system. And so that system, it turns out, can be manipulated with a lot of things, like herbs and fats, believe it or not, and cannabinoids and lots of things. And so we kind of sit at the crest of the wave of, if you will, what comes next. And so we work with the University of Mississippi, but it's kind of an interesting relationship. It's our intellectual property, if you will, our thoughts, our ideas, and they're just helping us, to make sure that we do the right thing regulatorily, development-wise, science-wise, do the right things, kind of science-y, if you will, to make sure that we're on the right track, and to make sure that we're validating, the science that we're discovering.
So how do they do that? Do you report to them in a certain way?
Yeah, kind of. So the best way is an example, right? So to just kind of walk you through an example. So we have lots of these type things going with them, but again, right now, there is no diagnostic test to test your endocannabinoid system. So again, when physicians stop playing games here, I'll sign your recommendation, see you later, bye. Right? So when physicians really stop playing games and really start taking this seriously, an important tool will be a diagnostic test. Again, there's no your endocannabinoid system drives your immune system and immune response. We don't have a test to even test for the endocannabinoid system right now.
Right.
So again, how do we know how powerful our immune response is with even no indication or no information about what's driving that system?
Yeah.
So anyway, we've got a working grant with the University of Mississippi. I don't know how to write a grant. I've never written one.
That's a whole nother piece.
Our guy, Dr. David Colby, who's our interface at University of Mississippi, does that all the time. I mean, he's multiple funded NIH, NSF guy. So anyway, he helps, with the grant development and all that, where we're developing our ideas, if you will. Now, on that particular thing, we'll share intellectual property with University of Mississippi because they're going to help me write the patent, and that saves me a lot of money on legal. So that's fine. Yeah, there you go. But we have other things that are uniquely ours, like our master patents, the first patent ever issued on manipulating the endocannabinoid with non-cannabis plants. That's our patent. Nobody shares in that IP, just us. We have another very unique patent. It'll take probably 2 years for that patent to issue, but it really has to do with you run, and people don't really realize this because we're just not taught this way, but we kind of run off of 4 major systems. One of those is spiritual. The other 3 are very physical. But these systems, a fat-based system, how we store energy and chemical mediators for future use, the endocannabinoid system, which regulates us but is fed by this fat system, and a bacterial system that kind of augments and where we make all the chemicals that we need to run our mind. Okay? So we kind of run on these systems, but they all talk to each other. And so we have patents around how they talk to each other. And again, understanding how they talk to each other is literally the secret of how we adapt to diet and environment. So again, if you go to the jungle and start living, you're going to have a different diet. You're going to be breathing different things. You're going to be exposed to different things. There's going to be different viruses and bacteria. And you're going to have to completely change genetically to respond. And you do that by balancing these 3 systems, really. So,
Okay.
yeah.
It totally makes sense when you put it that way.
It really does.
So we take all of our science that we're doing, and again, thank you, because that means a lot, because what I try to do is take these incredibly difficult pharmacological concepts and concepts about how we function and work that are, I spend a lot of time reading very complicated studies. Yeah, some of them are stories that I have to take, and somehow make sense of to be able to explain it to a normal human, right? And so I appreciate that because I spend a lot of time really trying to take these complicated ideas and figure out how to explain them. But we also take these complicated ideas and build things that are practical, and we do that in Truemedx. And so we have a brand company called Truemedx, and that's where we sell things. So that, if you want to buy some of our science, if you will, well, that's translated into the products that we sell at Truemedx. And what you'll find is, again, we have to be careful about, always making claims. So I can't say, we have something that will help relieve your pain. I could never say that, okay? But what I could say, I'm going to get in trouble with the FDA if I do that, but what I can say is that we have something that will help, we have a product line called Comfort and Ease, and it helps with, you know the magic words.
It helps with movement and mobility.
Yeah.
So how do you get more mobile? How do you move more? Well, you're not in pain. You're able to get up. You don't have inflammation. So movement and mobility is how we can address pain.
Yeah. Okay. So you'll see us communicate in kind of these weird terms and stuff, but that's because we're trying to be proper and not make claims about our product.
It's ridiculous that you have to.
Yeah.
And it's almost to a point where you're embarrassed sometimes to, how do I title this person? I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous.
Well,
but
and how do I describe?
You have to navigate through that, and you guys have done very well at that.
Yeah, thank you.
We had a good lesson. So we had FDA here, and they stayed for like 3 days several years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, back in, when was that?
2016.
2016. Yeah, we had a great visit from them. We learned a lot. We actually took that time as an educational opportunity, and so we grilled them. The whole 3 days they were there, like, what else? What do we do here?
Anybody you can talk to, it's like, I have so many questions.
At that time, we were in about, 1,000 square feet.
We did not have this building.
We had no sales. I mean, less than $5,000 in sales. Our manufacturing was a little back room. Why the FDA decided to come visit us at that stage of our, it's probably because our press releases, we came out and said we can manipulate the endocannabinoid system, but they decided to come visit us when we were nothing. I mean, zero. We had no really, we were doing things right for the most part, but we had no, CGMP and all the things that you need to do to really produce food, to produce our product for you. We didn't we had no clue what we were doing when they showed up, which was crazy. But they gave us a very quick education on how and what we should do, and basically how we build the company in the proper way, without getting in trouble from them or the FTC.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, and it was good.
Not a lot of people get that either.
Yeah, to be able to navigate it that way.
That's
too.
true.
Yeah.
So you guys have, speaking of that, how big is your place now?
So we're in about 5,000 square feet, about 3,000 square feet are lab, and about 2,000 are office.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit more. Yeah. And we're still not really we can do a lot of production out of the lab that we have. So like at one time we did all of the tincture manufacturing for CBD Plus USA.
Oh, okay.
First part of 2019, out of this lab. So we can handle a tremendous amount of volume out of this lab.
Right.
But at the same time, there is always a kind of a tap out. But it works good for us. It works good for us to be able to, we can build almost anything we do for the Oklahoma market here. As we grow and develop, though, there's sort of a tap out where we'll have to kind of outsource, if you will,
Sure.
Things to a bigger manufacturer.
Or figure out a way.
Yeah, figure out another way.
Some other way.
And it's not bad to do that. That happens in the FDA world all the time. So, like, let's say you are an inventor and you come up with a better way to deliver vitamin C in a capsule or whatever, and you start off small and you're doing it yourself, and then as you grow, you just move through stages. And
the thing about that is whenever we first started, we talked about, you're doing this for the patient.
yeah, absolutely.
And so, in the end, that's really what you want, isn't it?
It's funny. We balance each other really well. Everybody always says this, but again, we live this. And if you want to come, sit with us, you're more than happy to, and you can see this every day. But I'm always trying to give stuff away, right? So I don't,
No.
I'd rather help you, than make money off of you. That's not kind of what I'm about. But Cindy's a little bit better
I'm kind of more the business side.
person than I am.
I gotta beat us somehow.
Yeah, right.
We all have to have the different
thing-
aspects of it.
The thing is not necessarily giving things away whenever you're growing so much that it's exponentially helping so many people.
Yeah.
That is the growth.
Yeah.
Because you're not talking about money at that point. You have to have money in order to do that.
Yeah.
And so you've done that the right way. And so I guess what I'm saying in the end, it is about the patient.
Yeah. Again, that's what, why did we do an autism, product? So why did we look at autism and kind of go down that path? Well, there's practical reasons for that, certainly, but there's definitely heart reasons for that and why we did what we did there. The practical reasons are it's very hard to get people to look at our science. Okay, so if I give you a Truemedx, our rest and relax, which helps with anxiety, is reported to, and helps with sleep, is reported to. I can't make claims. I can't tell you what it does. But But anyway, they're reported to help with that, and it works really good, right? So that product, giving you that product, I forgot where I was going with my whole
It
comment.
requires more explanation.
Yeah.
Our products are kind of difficult to sell because we're affecting the endocannabinoid system, and we don't want to just say this will help you sleep. We want to tell you why it'll help you sleep.
Yeah.
And
really
why there's
understand
there's a misbalance there that we're trying to address.
And we want you to focus on our science, right? So whether you buy our Rest and Relax product or Little John's Apothecaries, whatever they call Rest and Relax, our
Slumber.
product, Slumber, or you buy it from another white label that's our product number underneath, I want you to focus back on the science that we have.
Yeah.
Because once you understand the science that we have, you'll understand a lot of things about how you work, how you can help yourself, how you can help yourself with diet. We give stuff away all the time. If you want to use our stuff to do it, great. We like that, good. But, if you want to go kind of help yourself, we definitely give you the ability to do that. But anyway, our stuff, pain relief, comfort and ease, I can't say that word, but comfort and ease, our rest and relax, our energy and wellness, which is at more inflammation and kind of mood and all that. Those products work really well, but they get lost, right? So again, if you go to Sprouts and there's 100 different things for inflammation, and we're one of them, right? So we just get lost kind of on the shelf. But coming out and doing something for autism, actually taking, and what we did there was we used our theory of our model of human function to understand what autism was. And then we basically looked at autism as a condition under that model, and what would we need to do to alleviate that problem? What resources would we need to provide to autistic people to rewrite the dysregulation that they have? And then we developed product. So, and it's really the first time, although we did it with other things, but not as dramatically, where we went from theory to a formulation. That worked. And that's pretty amazing. And so that's what I want you guys, that's what I want everybody to really focus on, that power that we have. Because again, we can do that with, frankly, anything.
And that's how I met them as well. Just talking to them, I had heard your guys' name from Andrew, and then Hawkeye got my son their card, and then Okana Moms helped me as well, which you guys are involved with. Yeah, and then it led me to you guys, and then I joined your guys' program for the month, and then I got samples, and then I came here today, and we're getting the tinctures and the focus, and my son's going to be, really trying every product every single day.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a cool thing to document and be able to tell people like, hey, this works. Because I told you guys, and we've had long conversations, which is the thing that I love about it, is because it has been so much trial and error that I can actually talk to you guys at any time and you'll answer my questions. So, it's really cool, and I'm really excited to see it.
That's great. And autism is such a, where autistic people are broken, if you will, is at such a high level of human function that, again, it causes all of these different, kind of horrible things as symptoms, to happen. And so it's definitely, it takes, and not everybody reacts the same. Autistic kids are super sensitive. We might have something in a formulation that we just put in there that maybe didn't seem important right off, but that causes some unintended consequence or something, right? So it's really, we've had to work pretty hard to get things right with our autistic population. But the nice thing about autism is it's so well researched. Like, I now use it as my sanity check. So if I'm going through, like I was helping somebody with platelets, they have a platelet issue where they don't make enough platelets. Their platelets are always low. If you don't make blood platelets, your blood doesn't clot and you bleed out and die, right, from anything, really, if you don't have enough platelets. So it's really important how your platelets work. But again, I can sort of theorize what that looks like or kind of run that through our model, and then I can kind of check against things that I know in autistic people and verify kind of what I'm doing, even though it's so different because there's so much research on autism. So, anyway.
Do you mind going over the part wherever you guys can join monthly and get access and ask you guys questions? Just because I didn't know about it, and it's helped me a lot.
Okay.
It's brand new. We've just put it together. Just, from all the feedback we've received from our moms and our dads. So that kind of led us to putting the program together. But it's a way for us to, and we sample when our moms join, we'll sample usually, find what works. And then we'll try to sell you a product, but you're not going to pay full price either. As part of the program, so you get 20% off of everything. So if you're getting 4 things, you get 20% off each, and not just 20% off all.
Okay, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, so you're getting 20% off per unit.
That's awesome.
So you're really going to save a lot of money by being part of that program, and you have direct access to it.
Yep.
So if you have a question, you just chat. And if you have an issue that we need to see, you turn your phone around with the camera on, so we can see what you're seeing, because sometimes our moms and dads, their child will just, they'll be doing really good, and then all of a sudden they'll have this really weird yelling, and they want us to see the yelling. Well, it can be good yelling, like they're trying to verbalize, or it might be bad yelling. So those are things that we try to identify.
Yeah. We had and I won't tell you who it is, but we had a situation with one of our moms and we made a change. And again, this scares me to make changes, but I'm always trying to make things better. So we changed the base oil that was in our base tincture, our focus tincture, and we have autistic. It's really interesting with autistic kids because, again, some of them are old enough to take it. Our best work is in the tablet right now, but again, a lot of them are old enough to take a tablet, so they have to have the tincture, and then we just are coming out with a water soluble.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited
which
about
will
that.
go in anything.
Yeah.
So if they, so I know how hard it is to get them to take.
Especially when they have sensory issues already. I do as well. So
yeah, and
trying
again,
to get them to take a tablet.
Smell or and again, once they taste it, it's bad. It's good luck there. We're
Yeah.
trying to get them
Yeah, you're trying to brush your teeth for a 6 years headlock, you know. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And they just see the tab like,
yeah. It's almost, we don't need that. We don't want another thing that we're like, okay, well now we gotta battle this.
You'd have to actually make it look just like a chicken nugget.
Yeah, they love
If it was a chicken nugget, yes.
But a lot of times there's issues and stuff that just need to be worked through, and and again, a child might do better on half a tablet, half a tincture, every day rather than a tablet or a tincture. So anyway, we try to work through all those issues, but we try to do it on the platform because it's just easier to communicate,
Yeah.
you can chat and all that. So.
And then we can make notes, so we'll remember what we did
Yeah.
for each individual person. Before we had this platform, we're trying to remember and
Yeah.
go through email. Okay, what did we do for this
Henry,
person?
right?
Yep.
And what samples
There you
did
go.
we send out? So now we're able to track it all. Yes. So
Yeah.
now he can remember names.
Yeah.
I have a hard time remembering. I might
need
not
to bring
remember
that
your
up.
name.
Yeah.
I'll remember your child's
I'll bring it
name.
up so you guys can meet 'em.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have a hard time remembering names. So again, I'll put all in my notes, and I'll put the discussions that we've had and kind of what I've suggested and if it's working or not. And,
Yeah.
and I can at least have a little bit of dialogue.
You mean you're a real consultant?
Yeah, kind
He
of.
actually is.
And guess what? It doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
As long as you buy the product. So we really are just try to help. And again, that we don't just do that with autism. We do that. I do that every single day. I'm having a conversation with someone about some kind of health problem. And
We have Hashimoto's person we're helping right now. And
Okay.
oh yeah, it's just
Hashimoto's is
yeah.
pretty random.
Brain glioma, which is the sad part of this is, the people that
Yeah,
potentially
thyroid.
don't have a very long lifespan, and so we have 2 children now with brain glioma, but both of them are making progress in the right way, so their gliomas are shrinking.
Okay. So you did a consult for anything, not
Yes.
just autism. Okay.
When
It's really
when I
nice.
first started, like actually studying, cannabis and
Yeah.
the medicinal side of everything, I always thought it would be wonderful once we get to that point whenever we can specifically target ailments,
Yes.
and we're there,
We're there.
We are.
and that's fantastic.
And we just don't know that we're there. It's interesting.
Yeah.
As we learn more about cannabis, we're able to treat more specific ailments. And the thing that I was talking about was really, if you look at THC or CBD or most of the minors in cannabis specifically, they affect us globally, right? So they affect us all over our entire body. So they're going to be good for the liver, or good for the lungs, or good for the heart, or good for the weight loss or skin or whatever. They're going to be generally good for us because they're helping our bodies regulate. They're basically increasing our ability to regulate and manage our bodies, which is awesome and perfect, right? But they're not specific. Cannabinoids are not specific. The specific things in cannabis are terpenes. Okay?
Yes.
So terpenes will get a little bit more specific and get down a little deeper than the endocannabinoid system. So something like alpha-pinene or linalool, they'll affect your GABA channel. They actually hit the same neuroreceptor that alcohol hits or benzos hit. They actually call the receptor benzo A receptor. Or your GABA A receptor, which is called your benzo receptor. So again, terpenes help cannabis be a little bit more specific, a little bit more. But herbs really help cannabinoids be very specific. And so if you look at an herb like milk thistle is probably the best example. So milk thistle will target the liver.
Yeah.
So if you have non-alcoholic, inflammatory liver disease, again, I'm going to recommend milk thistle for you. If I combine that with CBD, now I get a nice synergy, and that's what you're looking for in pharmacology. That's what you're looking for in drug
Right.
development. You
Yes.
want the synergies where you put 1 and 2 together and you get 10x of 1 and 2, right? And that's kind of what happens when you put cannabinoids and herbs together is you get this nice pharmacological synergy. So that's what we've been doing for a long time. And we know how to do that really well at this point. So,
It's something that people overlook.
yeah.
I've overlooked it
Yeah.
many times, and just to sit here and listen to you explain it again, it's so wonderful to hear that we're able to do that with this plant
Yeah.
and
It's happening
skip
here.
all of that.
In Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And-
it's so
Yeah,
and
especially Oklahoma.
and not only that, cannabis I think is cannabis is like a milestone. It says, I'm here, I can help you with your health. I'm kind of an answer to pharma, But there's more past me.
Yeah.
So you need to keep walking past me because, again, you can use me, but I'm an educator. I'm going to teach you something about the world you live in.
It really is a gateway.
It absolutely is a gateway, but it's a gateway to knowledge.
Yeah.
And again, what we don't understand is that we live in it's really cool. As I started studying all this and everything, I was like, well, turmeric is a really powerful thing, but hell, if I live here in the U.S., I'm screwed because it grows in, Japan and India and all this, and I can't get it. Well, I don't think God would do that to us, So, again, what did he give us that's turmeric-like that's around? And he gave us ginger. He gave us other things that are very much like turmeric. And so if you kind of look at how plants classify out and how they affect us neurologically, we live in abundance. Within a square mile of where we're standing right now, you have every single thing that you need pharmacologically to heal you of almost any known disease.
We just don't know it.
We just
we
don't
just
know
don't
it.
Yeah. Because we've been so
So-
fed with the pharmaceutical
Yeah.
that we don't want to see what's truly in front of us. That's literally, as soon as you walk by it, it's like, oh, that is medicinal.
Yeah.
Like, you can use that right now.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it, for whatever, it's almost like a charm has been placed, on all this stuff. And you have to look at pharma. You can't look at all these natural products that are wonderful and powerful. And that's going away, right? So we're beginning to discern that, this isn't, our be-all, end-all. The god of pharma, so to speak, is falling, right? So, and we're beginning to see the truth there. And really the truth is that was created from natural products.
They just make it synthetically.
Most people don't.
Still blows my mind. Okay.
So if you look at what happened to cannabis, where did it go wrong? Well, cannabis went wrong. Cannabis never went wrong, but those that want to rule over us, seized cannabis and kind of took it away from us, right? And who was that in particular? It was, elitists, right? So it was William Randolph Hearst in particular. He owned newspapers. He owned forests. Hemp threatened his whole being. So he bought Reefer Madness. He went around and demonized. He came up with the Mexicans coming across the border and hacking up
yellow journalist out there. I mean, he invented yellow journalism.
But even before him, something very interesting happened in about the 1900s. And this is all a part of the same train, let's say, to kind of take this over. But in the 1900s, if you were a physician here in the U.S., your whole pharmacology, your whole pharmacopoeia was natural products. You healed people with natural products. Did they work? Yeah. Go back and read about it. Absolutely, they worked. They sure did.
Yes.
But in about 1900, the Rockefeller Foundation decided, we don't have any control over this and we can't make any money at this. And so they literally took over university systems, seized medical education, made it quackery to even think about natural products. They did such a good job of demonizing natural products that we don't think they're powerful today, right? And they're more powerful than pharma. I mean, they've been around forever. And they're how are we intended to heal ourselves? Probably by what God gave us in abundance all around us, right? Anyway.
Well, supposed to let food be thy medicine.
And medicine be thy food.
There's a reason why. Every time whenever I first met you, I really wanted to write about you because it seemed like every event that I went to early on, people were following you around. I was like, who is this guy? So you just, I can see why people you have a magnetic personality about this.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're so passionate about it.
Yep.
And it's
they're easy to
true.
talk to.
It's
So-
a true feeling.
My opinion, my thoughts, my beliefs, but this is definitely a God thing. I mean, there is no way, that I, as a layman, have had the ability to learn everything that I've been able to learn. I mean, I've made myself, humbly said, into one of the world leaders on the endocannabinoid system. I mean, I teach University of Mississippi, about the system, right? So this journey for me is a God journey. I mean, I'm here to teach you about what I learn. I'm here to help you with the medicines that I build. And I'm also here to reform marijuana.
Yeah.
Okay?
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it
Yeah.
needs reform.
And thank
so.
you for
No,
that.
yeah,
You're
thank
welcome.
you. Absolutely.
And thank you for what
Definitely
you
defined.
did with 788.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sir.
And that's going to get better and better. You know, Oklahoma, we have a real
Oh.
chance to lead here, right?
Yes.
In marijuana. And again, we have a chance to lead, you know, on kind of the fun side, and that's kind of for other people to figure that out. I want to help us lead on the medical side, you know, and on the medical side, again, we've already positioned this state so well to be a world leader, but we're getting ready to just 10x everything with these petitions that Orca has put out over the last week and a half. So those petitions are filed. So there's 2 petitions. One shores up medical, but the way that we shore it up, all the freedoms and liberties we went under 788 are maintained 1,000% in that petition, and that's been my job. It's like, but then plus past that, we set the state up really well for what, you know, if you're in the know about how regulation works and you're kind of in the know about what it should look like, it's pretty easy to build a proper program, you know, that should function well and set the industry up and patients up and the state up and all of that. So it's not rocket science. It's not really that hard to build. So we've just done the obvious thing. And so that's what is out there. But we've done it a little different than we did with 788. So with 788, I'm a mathematician. I knew we had numbers. So again, if you didn't like what we were doing in Oklahoma's for Health, screw you. Get out of our way.
Yeah, right.
Seriously, we're running over you. It's a freight train. Yeah, but
Here we
go.
politicians,
Yeah.
lawmakers, you know, it didn't really matter. You know, Oklahoma Medical Association, it didn't really matter. And we, you know, tried to be respectful. But if you didn't like what we were doing, well, get out of our way because we're doing it, and it doesn't matter what you think. So we had to kind of have that attitude right off. Yeah, I talked about this with Representative Fettgetter. He and I had a very bad early meeting, let's just say. I was speaking. I don't know if you'll recall, in 2018, the legislature, it wasn't a special session, but it was close. We did this 14 weeks, and we had 14 legislators in special session. 2612 is what came out of that. But, you know, I was one of the first people to speak, and Fettgetter asked me kind of a silly question, I think, and he was unknowledgeable, and I kind of embarrassed him, and
snarky.
yeah, and was pretty snarky when I said. Again, I felt like he was getting in my way. Get out of my way.
Yeah.
And not me, but you know, we the people. Let's just say, you know, and that is kind of who I feel like I've represented in this is us, you know. But anyway, so that's kind of how we had to do it the first time. But this time is different. And if you know Jed Green, you know, Jed is a great guy. Jed is the executive director of Orca. Jed is a long-time political operative. He ran the 08 Obama campaign here in Oklahoma. He's run campaigns on both sides of the aisle. He's agnostic there, but he's a very good political operative, and he just knows how the state works. So between he and I, we've socialized this petition since March, probably through every state agency, every stakeholder. You know, we've had it out to the community. You know, the community's had lots of time to review it. So we really have tried to do this in a hugely transparent manner, and you know, put these out there in that way. But it's our best shot, and by we, Lawrence Pasternak has significantly helped, you know, with the writing of this. Chris Moe's been involved. Jed certainly's been involved. I've been involved. Ron Durbin's been involved. Most of the Oklahoma City attorneys have at least seen this, whether they've offered language or not. Bud Scott's been, seen the language, or his group has seen the language. Every CHOW, which is kind of a new dispensary, I would say, trade organization, has seen language. So AG has seen language. OBN has seen language. So all of these people we've tried to, bring in and kind of make sure that we were doing the right thing. And, they've all agreed, that this is, the right way to do it.
It is a collective roundtable.
Yes.
So it's really good.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works out.
Yeah. Well, we're
watching.
And it's going to require all of us. The industry
sure.
and the industry kind of already is, but the industry really needs to step up, certainly at the dispensary level, and carry the petitions.
Yeah.
Help us get the signatures that we need. So that'll be announced. Whenever we have our date, our signature date. Watch Orca and kind of watch Jed and watch Facebook, but that'll get out there real quick, and we'll get petitions out. But it'll be it's fun when we're petitioning. I don't know if you guys remember 2016 or not, but it was, you know, it's yeah. So it's, and you know, it's cool, and you know, community interfaces with the normal community, I guess, you know, in a different way than, you know, we normally do. So anyway, it's hard work on the back end. If you don't have any money, it's super duper hard work on the back end. But the kind of the nice thing about this time is we are raising some money for this. We've got, you know, some cool kind of early people that have helped, you know, and I can't tell you who they are, but it's kind of cool who's helping. But the right kind of people are helping, you know, get that started.
How can people help?
So if somebody does want to help, they can go to Orca OK, and is it?
We do not want to accept donations through the website, so they need to contact Jed, and they could do check or cash donation. But that's really the easiest way to help right now is through money.
Yeah, or and again, if you're stuck, you know, contact Cindy or I, and we'll get you to Jed. But when we take donations over the internet, there's a big problem right now with spam
There's
and
a lot of fraud out there.
and so it ends up, you know, every transaction costs money or something, and it just we can get blown up.
So much away from it.
Exactly, and so we don't want to.
Especially when you're already counting pennies.
And these are, so, you know, if we were Joe Big Business, right, and we wanted to get some state question done, you know, that would advantage us so that we could, you know, steal money from all you Oklahomans, right? we would go out on our nefarious plan, and it would, you know, cost us, I don't know, $500,000, probably to $1 million. And they do this by dollars per signature. You know, $5 per signature, $10 per signature, whatever. But they would have a big budget, you know, to go out and try to get signatures here in Oklahoma. And again, it's easy to do if you got a lot of money. And that's why a lot of politicians don't like the kind of petition route or signature route. If you don't have any money, if you're doing it we the people, like we do always have to do it, you know, it's a little harder. But you're almost assured, you know, of your ballot success because you activate so many people in the process. And so that's kind of what we learned through, you know, 2016 petitioning, through 788 and all that. But
Okay. All right. Cool. So that's the only way that they can help is just find you.
No, it's, you know, again, if somebody wants to donate, great. If somebody wants to help us carry the petition, like if you're a dispensary, there's a contact volunteer form that's on Orca.
It is. It's you can fill it out just right there online, and then that goes directly to myself and Jed, and then we can kind of put you into buckets wherever you want to volunteer. You'll go into that bucket.
And we need, you know, people who are going to carry the petition. We need dispensaries that are going to carry the petition. We need county organizers, people that can organize it. This is just like running a governor's campaign or, you know, a statewide campaign, right? So we have to be organized all the way down kind of to the local level. It's easiest to do it by county. So, you know, if you want to get involved, you want to help organize a county or organize your city or just help, you know, then fill out a form, and we'll come find you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it Orca as in ORCA.com?
It's ORCAOK.com.
ORCAOK.com.
Yeah, but like the whale, so ORC, and it's Oklahomans for Responsible Cannabis Action.
Okay.
Yeah.
It always amazes me whenever I look at what you're doing and all this. I'm like, how is he doing it? And it's very inspiring to me and also overwhelming and tiring watching. And so on top of that, you have a business that you're running, and you could not do that without Cynthia. So
Correct.
Cynthia, please tell us how you do this.
Oh my gosh, this is a full-time job.
She says, pointing to Chip.
Yeah, we, like he said earlier, we balance each other really well. He and I, you know, we have products that he's wanting to put out, so his brain is always working. He's always developing things. Well, that affects me out here, so I've got a process. I'm like, well, if we ever put this product out, we have certain things we have to do.
Blog and
I
a
need
video.
a blog, I need a video, and I need a write-up. So I can't do my job until I have those things from him.
It's kind of a disincentive to
So
find
I really I get the crack whipping on him sometimes. I'm like, okay, I can't do my job because you're not doing yours. So.
You guys will meet at noon.
exactly.
All right, it's a showdown.
But you know, I would have never, and I would hope she'd say the same thing, but I would have never been able to accomplish, you know, what I've been able to accomplish without Cindy. So it's that
this wasn't
we,
even on the horizon until we got together.
yeah, we
Really?
are,
Yeah.
we truly
awesome.
complement
It's
each
like our
other.
purposes came together and you guys are
Yeah.
doing it together.
Yeah, what is that
2008 was the
fantasy?
tipping
So-
point.
Really? Where are you guys from? Are you from Oklahoma?
Originally Colorado.
Okay, cool.
Originally, yeah. But I've lived here forever, and then he's sixth generation.
Yeah, my family's been here forever. I'm Chickasaw Indian. My great grandfather, who was white, named Smith Paul, married the daughter of the chief of the Chickasaws, and they came to Oklahoma before the Trail of Tears.
Okay.
Her name was Alaticha. She was awesome. Smith Paul was a little bit of a cad, you know, but Alaticha was awesome. But they did the first schools in Oklahoma. Paul's Valley is kind of my family.
No way.
So,
Oh, cool.
yeah. And so we've been here for a long time.
I wondered if you were from here.
Yeah, a lot. So we've done a lot. You know, in my family, I would say we've done a lot in the state, but we've never really had a lot of, you know, wealth, you know,
Yeah.
in that way. But we've been able to do a lot of things for Oklahoma. So.
Yeah.
I was also very impressed whenever I first met you I want you to talk about he's very cultured, okay, in his family. Your family, I mean, first of all, you have to have an extremely high IQ because of the hereditary involvement.
It's interesting. My family's
Good genes on his family. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
amazing, yeah.
so let's see, where do I start?
Yeah.
You know, so my great grandfather was the founder of Paul's Valley, but that whole Paul clan, you know, we have several like Chickasaw Hall of Famers. My dad has a brother, so I have a dad, or had a dad. My dad is dead now, but my father and my uncle are both very successful. So my dad is an attorney. He was past president of the Oklahoma Bankers Association. You know, he had Citizen Security Bank here in Bixby, which he co-owned with the Mayberry banking family. Sold that to the Mayberrys when he retired, and so he did, you know, pretty good when he retired. My uncle is still alive. He's a Crow Dunlevy partner, and he's past president of the American Bar Association. Yeah, his kids are the valedictorian of Princeton Law School is his oldest. His daughter is
definitely
now
runs in
one
the
of the. She was the CFO at Hulu. She was also, before that, the executive vice president at Disney. I don't know what she's doing now, but some big deal. On my mom's side, you know, Oklahoma, we have Clinton, Oklahoma. So my grandfather there owned the Clinton Daily News forever. He's a former University of Oklahoma regent. He was there when all the Switzer stuff happened, the AKs and all that out the doors, and had to deal with that. He helped bring Bill Banowski into OU, if you recall that, back in the 80s. Anyway, but yeah, my family's, you know,
Been around a little bit.
been around a little bit.
Yeah, been around a little bit. So.
It's funny, I'll talk to some of these lawmakers sometime, and they'll go, how in the world were you able to do that? The phone, baby! Because we just, you know, we got a good network. So,
Yeah.
you know, we've just been around for a long time in the state. So that helps get things done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
for
Yeah.
sure. There's something about having pals, isn't there?
Yeah. And, you know,
Faces.
this business, our business, when we're not killing each other, we're really good to each other. I mean, I don't know why, you know, I remember when I went to work, I got out of college in 1985, a long time ago, I'm old, but I went to work for Southwestern Bell, right? The most buttoned up, you know, Fortune 50 company in the world at the time. So I had to wear a suit and tie every day. But when you went into work every day, you wouldn't bring your personal problems in. You know, you'd sort of just go in with your professional attitude. You'd do your job. If you got sideways with somebody, you'd handle that in a professional manner. There was never any
there wasn't Facebook.
angst or Facebook
What a good
or
time.
drama or any of that, right? So in our industry, for whatever reason, holy cow, do we like the drama.
Oh, so much.
Yeah, and I mean, I think,
Yeah.
we need to kind of grow it. And if you step outside our industry and look at it, if you look at, let's say, the architecture industry or the, whatever, it doesn't really matter what silo of industry you look at, there's all this professionalism there, right? There's a professional repository of how you SOPs, and there's, professional organizations, and there's just drips, insurable and bankable and grown up and all this.
Sure.
So I really hope our industry kind of never gets that way.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm not down with all that.
Yeah. But at the same time, we have to do some growing up. I mean, if we want to be bankable, if we want to be insurable, we've got to do some growing up as an industry. So.
But I mean, it's not. I mean, it's maybe this industry, but if you look at any artist's industry, the music industry, anything like that, there's always that pocket of people trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like that in the corporate environment. They're trying to get somewhere. So it's just we need to recognize that and really become professionals in this industry, like you said, and treat it as a professional industry.
Yeah.
Well, and support people who are, trying to do it right. So we created this OK for You. We needed something to do with Oklahoma's for Health. So Oklahoma's for Health was the proponent of SQ 788, meaning we're the people that petitioned for it. We're the people that, took it to the Secretary of State, got it on the books, shepherded it all the way through. So that's kind of what proponent means. But that organization, we needed something to do with that. And so Cindy and I really, and this was a year, it's more than that, I don't know, 2, just right when we did all this, we felt like we needed some kind of trade organization. And again, one form that we supported that ended up not being such a good thing. But OK for You approved, we kind of formed that.
With patients in mind, so it's more patient targeted.
And mom and pops,
Right.
So again, if you're out there and you're struggling, and you're getting your ass kicked by the black market guys and you're getting your ass kicked by the big guys, what knobs and levers do you have to kind of control your business? Well, we, want to help, right? So how can we do that? SOPs, get your stuff together, make sure you're doing it right. Make you into kind of what these big guys
make it a little bit more affordable.
Right. Potentially understand the metrics. Maybe you don't understand, how to drive business to your business or whatever, but give you some tools to do that, or bring in other experts that know how to do that.
Yeah, we have a cool new member that actually has a franchise that they're wanting to introduce to some of the struggling dispensaries in Oklahoma. So we've got really cool people who want help.
Yeah. So like, let's say you were a mom and pop and you're barely making it or not making it, and you're tired of watching your life savings bleed out, and you don't know what to do. These people would be good people to talk to because they might be able to come in and kind of completely change your whole situation.
And so you're able to kind of act as a conduit
for
that. Okay.
And vet some of these things to make sure they're not,
Yes.
assholes coming in to rip people off.
That's
right?
great.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So what about people that are just wanting to start in the industry? Do you offer conduits for that as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
People call us all the time just to ask questions. How do I get started? Where? And we usually point them toward our attorneys.
Okay.
We have Stephen Kell, he's on our board, and then of course Ron Durbin, he's president. So we'll point him that way just to kind of get the ball rolling on compliance and licensing and things like that.
Yeah, and there's a few other attorneys that, and again, if you're an attorney out there that wants referral, contact us. We're going to come talk to you. We're going to make sure you know what you're doing. We're going to make sure you know how to set up an Oklahoma cannabis company. We're going to make sure you know how to set up a management agreement. We're going to make sure you know how to do a lot of different things.
It's not under a secretary's name.
But if you can do all that, then, we need people, to send people to.
Yeah.
And any really, frankly, professional services, CPAs.
How about writing grants?
Writing grants, absolutely. So, grant writing.
We do a lot of that with University of Mississippi.
Yeah.
It's just one giant one that we've been working on for like yeah, but there's when you write a grant for NIH, which is what we're doing, National Institute of Health or National Science Foundation, those grants kind of have a format and they look the same. When you write a local grant, that can look a little different. Yeah, it can be a completely different thing.
And so it would be a good conduit for those small business people, is what you're saying. Almost like what's the environment that I'm looking at? So like a more of a community. What's the
we try to, so our member, like we have a
chamber environment.
Exactly. There is no chamber for the cannabis industry, right? And there's no professional service, there's no help. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do, is just sort of build this repository. And even if a member gets in trouble, because we touch so many different places, we can really help. So quick story, we have a member in Western Oklahoma. They have a process and they have a dispensary. They got their process license just to do pre-rolls. Okay, so all they want to, they want to buy flower, they want to, chunk it up and make pre-rolls out of it, and they want to do that in process and then move it over to their dispensary and sell pre-rolls in their dispensary. Okay, they test all the flower that they have coming in, and they do it proper by lot and batch. We actually do their labels, so we kind of know that they do this, right? On the back end, we could vet that, so we know that they do that. But they take, they buy Wookie cookie that's tested. They take that Wookie cookie, grind it up, and put it in pre-rolls, and then they were selling that Wookie cookie without, final product testing, let's say. And understanding that, they had a test, right? And they're not altering it. What's going in is coming out. And that should be good enough. So they got inspected. The inspector came in. And the black and white interpretation of the rules is you have to have a final product on that pre-roll. Yep. You have to have a test on that pre-roll. That's the rule. Okay? Yeah. But that doesn't fit with logic, right? So and again, sanity check on that one, no. Right, so but this is the stuff that happens, within rulemaking, and as we get into more detail and all this. So anyway, contact the OMMA, let them kind of know this is an issue. Here's what happened. Here's what your inspector said. Sanity check. Blah blah blah. But on the back end, I've spent probably numerous hours on this already, and that member may not even know it, but that's a bigger issue for the industry. I'm fighting for that member, but I'm also fighting, for the industry.
Well, it'll affect us too, because we make pre-rolls. Whatever's left in those jars goes into a pre-roll.
And that's what dispensaries, the SOP for dispensaries when they get low on flower. So if I've about sold out all of my top shelf whatever, and I've got just the bottom of the barrel there, I'm going to pre-roll that.
Yeah.
That's what you
why
do.
not?
Yes.
Well, that's your SOP. I mean, every dispensary I think probably does that, right? So they're going to pre-roll that stuff and just sell it as a pre-roll, and then they have an open jar that they can, go put another strain in there, right? So that's pretty much dispensary behavior. But anyway, the regulators don't understand that. They're not coming from the industry. They don't know. They're just being trained. And again, this regulator or this inspector was just following the rules, so no fault to them. Again, MedShed got a processing license, so they could do, or sorry to name them, sorry MedShed, but they got a processing license just so they could do pre-rolls. So they're absolutely thinking they're trying to do the right thing, and absolutely think that they are. So you've got instances of, two people trying to do the right thing, but this will all get worked out in next legislative session. Easy thing to run, as a proposed law. Everybody's aware of it now, because again, I've hit Director Berry up with it, hit other people up with it, hit Fettgetter up with it, and Representative Moore, who's MedShed's representative out there, has been active too. So everybody knows about this problem now, and so that, to me, is almost like a perfect demonstration of what we can do as a trade organization. We can go to bat for a member, but it's a bigger issue really than just that member, because we have it, every dispensary is going to have it. And if we can kind of go to bat and raise awareness for that, that's going to change, and that's going to be a benefit for everybody. That's going to be a win for everybody. So
it's good to have that, for this industry. That's so important.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine. There'd be. Anyway,
well,
so we'd be like every other state.
There we go. We're kind of lucky in the, and again, I go conspiracy theory on this, but a lot of people won't go there with me. But I think that
I'll go.
that we purposely have watered down rules, right? So again, Cindy and I sat in the meeting with Health, right before we came out with, and this was in 2018, when Health issued that final regulatory. It was 20 pages of regulatory, with no consumer protection, no public safety, no security,
right.
nothing. It was just completely woohoo industry. We'll do the licenses and you guys just do whatever the hell you want.
Here.
That's what it looked like.
Fine.
Now, we had offered a 60-page that we all agreed. At this time, Health was governed by a board. They had a commissioner, Commissioner Bates, and they had a legal team. So we had agreed with Bates and their legal team on a 60-page regulatory that had testing, consumer safety,
I tried to record
security.
this meeting like every other, but Bates made me turn off my phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
So I don't have record of this one
Yeah.
meeting.
Oh, but we have emails. There's plenty of
Yeah.
record of the meeting.
Yeah.
So but we agreed. We're all, this is good, right? And then that was Friday. Wednesday, the 20-page came out, right? So I know what happened, and I know that the intent was to put out something that we could go crazy with, right? And I think, again, this is I think now, but I think that the strategy there was to let the industry get out of control, was to let, and which it's kind of almost there, right? So dispensaries on every corner, and the smell everywhere, and Chinese grows, and just let it go, right? And wait until John Q gets so frustrated that every John Q's calling their lawmaker with dispensaries on every corner. You've got to do something about this. Limit licenses.
Yeah. I'm with you.
And so that appears to be the strategy.
Right.
And again, how do I know this? Well, we used to have a home care company, so we took care of the elderly, right? So we'd go to their homes and take care of the elderly, or facilities and take care of the elderly. That's a licensed endeavor, home care or hospice or any of that, by the Oklahoma State Department of Health, just like marijuana. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But before they issue a license, before you can go do that, before you can operate your business, they come inspect you.
Right.
They come look at your records. They come make sure you have a nurse. They come make sure that you're hitting all the marks that are required in the regulations. Mm-hmm. Real business. They actually ask for your formation documents and all this kind of stuff. So they validate that you're a real business and that you're really doing what you're doing. And then as you renew, they'll come look at your records and all kinds of stuff and make sure you're doing it. They do that for tattoo parlors. They do that for massage parlors. Mm-hmm. If you're a hair cutter, you've got to do that, or hair cutting studio. You never get a license from Health until you've been inspected, except for the one thing that they regulate that's federally illegal.
Marijuana.
And then you just get your license. No inspection. Huh. Isn't
Interesting.
that weird?
Yeah, right.
So how does that work with alcohol beverages?
With a permit? Oh my gosh. They're in your bank accounts.
Yeah.
You have the rectal exam of all rectal exams.
Right. They don't want that to get out of control.
No. And again, so do we
I mean,
and we don't, again, do we need that in cannabis? No, but at the same time,
No.
why are there dispensaries? There's nothing stopping me from driving in from California with a big load of weed in the back, renting some store, getting a sign, putting a dispensary sign up, and starting to sell my stuff and acting like I'm a dispensary. Why not? Nobody's going to come inspect me.
yeah.
It's cheap too.
And the point is, it's
And I
not.
can kick my butt, or your butt, or your butt, or your butt
yeah.
in the dispensary business because I have no overhead. I don't have to pay for a license. I don't have to pay
Right,
for
yeah.
regulatory. No POS system. No
Right.
$500 a month for POS. $500 a month for weed maps.
Yeah.
It's $500 for everything.
Yeah, it
Is it
really
really?
is.
Every time you
It's
turn
not
around.
like
It is,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it.
And the point is, it's not necessarily that we need that regulation. It's to back your point. Is that they just threw cannabis in there, but with alcohol they would regulate. They would want to be careful with it,
Right.
Because that's their baby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That and don't get me started going down a conspiracy. I may get in trouble.
Yeah, we don't need you getting in trouble.
But yeah, thank you,
These
Jazz.
two are like,
Thank you, Jazz. But I hear what you're saying, and it's not necessarily. I don't necessarily agree with all regulation and all
Right.
that. I hate conformity.
oh,
to tell you.
it's
But-
funny, and I don't. Go ahead.
But for the government to make that decision, like you said, sounds conspiracy to me.
It's really
I'll move
interesting.
on.
I think what's happened, and again, if you're a registered Democrat, I'm sorry, but I'm really kind of making a point with what I'm going to say, and that is that marijuana is probably the biggest disconnect between we the people and the people we elect to govern us there ever has been. You want an example? Hi, Texas. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Mississippi, right? Yeah. Mississippi passes their state question at 70%. Woo! 70%'s a big majority. Yeah. And again, if you have lawmakers saying no, 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 and you have 70% of your population saying
something's
yes,
wrong.
Something
is wrong. So our issue seems to really make people glow. Seriously. I mean, make people stand out that are kind of doing the wrong thing. And I think you'll find that in 2018, right after we passed this, that there was a lot of things that are grand jury worthy that were happening, around our issue. It'll probably eventually come out. I think you'll find that there's been a lot of collusion between state agencies and private entities as regarding our program. I think you'll find that there's been a lot of direction of health to stand down in how they regulate, how they issue licenses, answering phone calls, doesn't really matter. And again, that's my opinion, but I sit in a really unique chair and I see a lot of things, and I've been with this since the beginning. So, yeah. Now, how do we stop that? How do we fight it? We the people, baby. Karma's a bitch. Doing the right thing. If you're being transparent, sorry, I'll shut up. Let Cindy talk. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to shut up because I firmly agree with you. If you continue to do the right thing, the good will prevail.
Yeah.
I am a firm believer
yes.
in that.
And again, you get what you need.
Yep.
If you're authentically a good person and you do that,
yes,
on a constant basis, it will show.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, you're right. I agree.
Cannabis it's a freedom and liberty issue, right? And so it's interesting. We just had this panel, first ever time in history, right, that the GOP, the Republican Party, has embraced marijuana in some kind of an educational forum, right? In what world does that happen? Oklahoma, that's where that happened. But we were kind of getting ready for this panel, and I'm talking to these Republican operatives, and they're going, why isn't this like tomatoes? This is a freedom and liberty issue, and this should be like tomatoes. You guys are regulating this. That's wrong. You're putting it in government. And I'm like, whoa!
Hey,
these people are even more extreme than the cannabis people. Wow! Who knew? But it's like a
alliance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But and so you kind of have to explain. Gosh, I kind of believe that. I mean, I believe it should be like tomatoes, and we should all be free to have it, use it, do whatever. But if you're going to grow it, for me to consume as a patient, I'm gonna want to know some things.
I want to know how you grow your tomatoes.
Yeah, I want to know what you're putting in the ground.
And I might want a little bit of regulation about the poisons and stuff you put on it.
Are you growing those tomatoes on a golf course? Or are you growing them
in your backyard with your dog?
Yeah.
So I think when we, the people that are kind of on the back end of trying to do this right, when we look at how we regulate this, or how sort of the guardrails we put on regulators to operate under, we're trying to do that with as little regulation as possible, but as much regulation as we need to make sure that we're safe. Yeah, and to set the state up right and all that, right?
Yeah.
So.
It's always interested me on how do you determine what that safe line is?
Yeah, no joke.
That is a good question.
Yeah, no joke. And that kind of finds its own way.
Okay.
You certainly know when you're over or under the line, I would say,
Okay.
So,
Yeah. I mean, would you say it's more of a kind of we don't have enough research, like you said.
Absolutely.
And so people like you are really on the forefront of that.
Yeah.
Of that safety thing is why I'm asking you. So.
Go ahead and finish.
No.
On research, it's interesting. And I'm kind of starting to use this as an example because I think it'll be good if we offer rec to the state as a question. And if the state adopts it, great. I mean, I'll support it. If the state doesn't adopt it, in a way, that's kind of good. And I'll tell you why. First of all, we have open access, so that doesn't hurt us as Oklahomans at all. And the new thing, we completely open up access literally to the world. So if you want to get an Oklahoma medical card, you live in Brazil, great, get one. And when you come here, you can shop. Okay, so we're going to open up the Oklahoma program to the world. But when you start talking about the medical aspects of marijuana, and certainly to a skeptic, okay, so if I'm talking to that skeptical lawmaker, and again, he's not a marijuana user, he's just sort of getting what he's getting, and he's had the reefer madness stuff, but his mind's somewhat open because he's heard for somebody in his church recovered from cancer, whatever, using cannabis, right? So he's somewhat open-minded, and I can start talking about what we're doing with autism, and how cannabis works with that, and what we're doing here, or what we're doing there, all these medical results that we're seeing in the state with cannabis, and I can get them to open up a little bit. But when they open up the Daily Oklahoman and they see that leaf blower, okay, or they see that kid with the marijuana, leaf painted on their face, or the hoopla that happens at these festivals, it wrecks it. They're gone. I lost them. They're just like, oh, screw you. You guys are just doing this for fun. You're doing this for rec. You just want to use drugs, and you've made this medical excuse up so that you can get this through. And we know that that's not the case, but I'm telling you, there are numerous people that think just that way.
Yeah, and it's more of an environment of, it's almost like looking at decency. Who is the judge of that?
Yeah.
And who is
it's
really
good I'm not.
who are really making changes, and the people that are not judgmental of that any longer are the ones that are making changes.
Yeah, exactly.
See, so that doesn't matter any longer in this world.
Well, and it
fortunately,
it
does, but we're on that path.
And you're right. I'm a firm believer that no one, once they're properly educated on kind of medical marijuana, the endocannabinoid system, and kind of herbs and this whole picture. So if I can properly educate someone, you can't be against this. You can't be. Right?
Yeah.
And so it's all about education, and it's all about kind of breaking down these barriers. So I feel like as an activist, it's easy to talk to the yeses. It's easy to talk to you guys. It's easier to talk to the people that are listening to this podcast. The hard people that are, those right-wing Christians that live in the GOP, those hard no's, right, that have had the reefer madness and they've never gotten the education, that's who I need to go talk to now. So, and that's what I'm trying to kind of penetrate. But on research, you mentioned research, and in the petition, and I wish I would have done this in 788, but again, it was 2015. We know a lot about how this would go. But in the new one, there is research money, okay? So I can't remember what percentage we did, but a certain percentage of the excise tax will go to research. No other state's doing that. You have this situation with cannabis right now where if you talk to a physician, you go, Doc, is there research on marijuana? He'll say no. Okay? That's not true. NIH.gov, use the magic keyword endocannabinoid, you'll get all you want, and there's hundreds of thousands of studies. But if you go to the FDA, drug repository, no data. And there's a reason for that. It's because marijuana is federally illegal and you can't study it. The FDA will never let you take it through something called an investigative new drug process. And what you do when you do that is you file something called an IND, and then you take it through, we've all heard of clinical trials, right? So you take it through stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 clinical trials, and then it's a drug. Well, no one's going to do that with marijuana. First, you can't because it's illegal. Second, you don't have a way to intellectually protect it. So again, you could do that and spend your $50 million to do that, and then all of us could make the claims that you got, from doing that about marijuana. So it's no one's really going to, do that. So it can't live in FDA research right now. It can't go through clinical trials. Epidiolex, which is kind of the synthetic CBD, has done all that. So there is data now on Epidiolex, but there's nothing on marijuana. And so, again, how do we do that? I was just having this discussion with one of the leaders in cannabis testing is a company called Emerald Scientific. And we're getting ready to start a Society of Cannabis Technologists, kind of the IEEE of cannabis, both research and of how to, okay? And so we're going to help do that here. That's going to start in Oklahoma. That's going to start with Emerald Scientific. Going to be kind of a cool thing. But, having best practices on research and beginning to develop just this basic science needs to happen, and we can do it here. And so we have funds, to begin to do that.
Yeah, why not?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it happen here?
Yeah, and it has to happen somewhere. Yeah. It used to be University of Mississippi, was the only school where you could get marijuana and research with it nationally and be legal. And you had to apply for a grant through NIH, and then through NIH, through National Institute of Drug Abuse, and then you could go to University of Mississippi and say, I need, 50 pounds of marijuana to study my human impairment study or whatever, right? Or whatever they were doing. And again, that was all done, by the way, with one strain. So since 1968, every bit of legal federal research on marijuana, specifically by NIDA, has been done with one strain of marijuana. So you have the endocannabinoid system. The endocannabinoid system literally runs this spectrum between, let's say, upregulation and downregulation, which looks like sativa and indica, which looks like a bunch of CB1 or a bunch of CB2, right? So it can be characterized this way, but all disease states live in this spectrum, okay? Yeah. We've studied this little piece of it. Nothing here, nothing here. Again, they didn't even know this until we had our little tour. And I go, really? We had to, honestly, we had to tell them of their mistake. But now there's 3 different organizations that are growing, which is good because, University of Mississippi kind of screwed up. And it wasn't our guy. That's a whole nother piece of University of Mississippi. We're over in the pharmacy, National Center for Natural Products Research, not the marijuana program. So we're over here, not over there. It's them over there. But anyway, now there's 3 different places that grow. And one of them is in New Mexico. And it's not a university. It's just a grow. Okay? So there's no reason why, grows that have some wherewithal and could actually, do some research right now in Oklahoma couldn't go after this. So
absolutely. And to have everybody get involved at that level, could you imagine? I mean, not just the knowledge that you would get out of it, the industry. There'd be an entire new industry.
Absolutely.
On top of what cannabis is already creating.
Yeah, and that's what we need. Yeah. And again, it's hard for us to think, oh gosh, we're leading the world. I mean, we don't think that way, right? It's just, we're just Oklahoma, we're just doing what we're doing. Yeah. We're just doing this, doing that, doing that, doing that. But we are.
Yeah.
We really are.
We're leading the world.
Yes.
So how do we...
that into perspective now, because it's like, I honestly haven't thought about that either, is like we are that forefront.
Yes.
And we've just made so many strides that everybody's just like in awe, like, what is Oklahoma doing?
Yeah.
And nationally, we passed our law and everybody's went, oh, red estate in the country
we'll
did
see,
it. We'll see. Yeah, they'll screw it up or whatever. And it, 2 years later, or 2.5 years later, now everybody's going, we want to be like Oklahoma.
They did do something right. Hold on.
But because of what we've done, again, we have a good, stake out there already that everybody's kind of driving to. We're going to pick up that stake and move it way out there. Yeah. And then that's what this petition, really does. So if you have a chance, read the petition, look at it, but definitely as soon as it gets available, go frickin' find a way to sign up for it. So,
hopefully that stake will just continue to not just go way out there, but continue to go up on a taller and taller mountain.
Yeah.
And be broadcast around the globe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why not think that way?
Yeah.
It's grandiose to think that way, right?
But it's okay.
But so what?
Yeah.
We like grandiose.
I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, it's obvious how this should go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason it doesn't go obvious in Missouri is there's 100,000 roadblocks.
Yeah.
And the people that know how it should obviously go are not in a position to make it go, right? Because they're blocked.
Yeah.
In Arkansas, same way. In most states, same way. In most countries, same way. In most states and most countries, you have the people that are sort of in control of things, let's say. And here in Oklahoma, it's we the people are in control of things. But in most states, you kind of have a small group of people that are special interest. And it might be their business, they've done this so they can get rich in their businesses and they're going to hold on to that. Or it might be government's done it and they're only going to let it out this much. But there's special interests that control it. Not here in Oklahoma. And we're one of the only states, we are the only state that it's that way.
How do you feel about the dissection the dissection of the industry itself, that could come into play in the politics whenever you're looking at the CBD industry versus the THC, that market, that sort of thing.
So there's a tactic, So it's let's look at this as war, okay? And so if I'm kind of on the good side of industry, what I want to speak with the loudest voice possible. All right. So if I can unite the THC group, the adult use and the rec and the, or adult use and medical, and the THC group, and I can bring in the CBD group, and I can bring in the, hemp guys and, the fiber guys and all that. And I can kind of go in as one big group and I can speak with that voice.
Yeah.
Woo! Boy, that's a powerful voice.
Yeah.
If I'm on the other side of that, all I'm going to try to do is divide that.
There you go.
Oh, you CBD people don't, I'm going to try to divide and conquer you, right? So you CBD people are different than you THC people. You know what they say about you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So just like we see in politics, right?
Absolutely.
Again, what's the easiest way to divide we the people? You divide us by race, you divide us by sex, you divide us by gender, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, if we speak with one voice, we're extremely powerful. If we speak divided, we don't have any power.
Right. I agree.
So.
And so you see that happening here in Oklahoma then?
Yeah. I mean, it's just a tactic, it's a division tactic to divide and conquer, as long as we can kind of keep everybody together. And it's hard to do right now. I guess it's not hard to do. It's just no one's really never done it. So you have kind of the hemp group and you have the marijuana group that are different. I mean, the hemp group wasn't real excited about marijuana passing. Mm-hmm. It ate into their business model in a big way. I mean, I would wager that they were, up there trying to derail things probably at one point. But the hemp group now we're kind of common cause, and so
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so I think if they see
that's
it
what I
way,
mean. So here in Oklahoma, I agree with you. I think that it's become one voice, and and everyone has been able to find that way collectively. But do you think that? Do you see that happening in the industry as a whole in the United States? We
are leading, and I mean that from a national perspective. What we're doing here in Oklahoma is very special. Because we have the ability to move the knobs and levers like nobody else does. And so as we're kind of doing it, no one is in particular, it's not like I'm doing something special with some plan or Jed is or anybody. It's just like we're doing the obvious thing that is trying to set the state up and the industry up. Mm-hmm. But no one else is even thinking like that. They're trying to, make sure that I don't lose my 5 cents every sale on a metric tag or whatever, right? Yeah. So, So we're way out there in our thinking just because of our situation, in the situation that we've been able to create and kind of keep here in Oklahoma. It's funny.
Thankfully.
Yeah, and
Yes.
again, if you look at this situation I brought up with this processor dispensary, kind of what they're going through with pre-rolls, the kerfuffle that has caused is a disincentive for state agencies to overregulate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Which is really interesting. Usually it's the other way around. If we're in Missouri, we're fighting for every little freedom that we can get above our egregious regulation, right? If we're in
Right.
Arizona, if we're in Ohio, if we're in Florida, we're kind of the other way. We've got complete freedom, and we kind of need to be more regulated, right? And that's kind of a better situation. But anyway, yeah. Sorry.
I just
Went down
wanted
a rabbit hole
your
there.
take on that. No, because I've visited other states and it kind of seems completely different.
Yeah.
As far as that atmosphere goes.
Yeah.
Whenever there's competition
There's
involved.
definitely a great divide in the other states on that too. It's
On
like
hemp
trying to get the
and-
community to come together is like worse than Oklahoma.
Is
is
it
what I
really?
can see. But other than that, it's been
Yeah.
it's kind of like a hit or miss.
And I would say our community right now, it's really interesting. If you listen to what our community is asking for right now, it's mushroom legislation.
Yeah.
And so we're going to having conversations with lawmakers now, trying to get everybody together, in the state. So again, if anybody's out there that wants to get involved, hit me up or hit you guys up or whatever, if you guys want to get involved. But we'll have a meeting on October 30th and try to pull together all the interested stakeholders from around the state. We'll kind of agree on a philosophy, I hope, of how we kind of approach this and what we think we can get and maybe what we can't get and, maybe how we should potentially do it. And then we'll go to it. We already have a big name lawmaker that wants to help us.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
And that's on October the 30th?
Yeah, October 30th.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll send you guys I'll send you an invite.
sure.
You can
Sure.
it's just a Zoom meeting, so we want to kind of bring everybody
okay.
together and we'll, get our philosophy together.
Oh, it's interesting. I mean, to be on the forefront of that too,
Yeah.
as far as that goes.
But to me, it's all the same thing,
Yeah.
right? So it's these natural, and to me, herbs are the same thing. But it's these natural products that are our healers. They're our
Access to
pharma.
it.
They're our new pharma,
Yes.
right?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you, and man, I mean, every time I'm so humbled by what you do. I mean, you do so much for this community. You don't. I mean, I hope you know that. I hope you both know that.
I'm here to help. So yes, I know what I'm doing.
This is definitely his purpose.
Yes, it is.
Yes, I can. Yeah, I think we can all see
Yes,
that for
very
sure.
much so.
For sure.
Yes.
So, what's the best way to let's talk about the best way to get a hold of you, contact with you, your store.
Email. So we're pretty good at checking our email daily. So chip@newpharma.com or Cynthia@newpharma.com, and it's spelled GNU PHARMA. So should be right there.
GNU.
Yeah, GNU.
GNU.
Yeah,
Or
our phone.
Chip
so
at
you
or
can
Cynthia
call
at
anytime.
Truemedx,
Yeah.
or phone. Our
I
phone numbers
answer
are
all
out
the
there.
phones, so
Yeah.
anybody who calls any company, it all comes to me. So I
Okay.
answer them all.
We we want to understand what our customers' problems are. We want to help them with those problems. We'll sample you until we get it right. And then you can buy it, right? But we are in this to help you. We have a business to run. We've got to eat, so that means we have some overhead and we got to pay people, and that requires us to charge something for our
Right.
medicine. And it's not medicine; it's formulas. But anyway, but our attitude is we want to help you, and again, we'll show you that attitude, with how we go about things.
Yeah.
So.
And just again, just to go over the model, just in case people missed it before, Tara, will you go over like kind of the model of what people can do whenever they become members?
Yeah, so they offer, it's like a $5 monthly thing that we pay for, and then you have access to Chip and Cynthia full time to be able to ask them questions, and then you also get, like she said, discounted on your medicine, your product. It's 20% off what each product you
Per
said.
unit.
Per
so
unit,
if
yeah.
you're getting 4 products, each one is going to be discounted 20% and not
Okay.
just a whole
part. So.
Yeah, it makes it affordable for us, whether if you don't have insurance or anything like that, you're not getting price gouged or anything, because that is hard for going into. It's hard enough for me to medicate myself,
exactly.
you know, in a dispensary. I can't afford it, you know, to be able to do something like that. So, they offer, you know, lines to be able to talk to them at any time, and they have good systems with the Hawkeye and then the Okana moms and everybody, you know, testimonials that you can actually talk to parents.
Yeah, and we'll try to hit you where you're at. So if you're a you know, cannabis mom and you want to use cannabis as a solution, you know, we'll kind of hit you where you're at. If you are absolutely opposed to cannabis and only want to use natural products, we'll kind of hit you where you're at. But that system allows the people that are more high touch. So again, if you're having problems with sleep or anxiety, just get our Rest and Relax product. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
But if you have a situation with a child or, you know, a way more difficult medical situation, this is a better option because it's more interactive. And then you also get discounts because, again, we're going to be recommending stuff for you to take. And this will be a better way, you know, easier to pay for.
And they really dive into who your kid is. You know, individually, you don't group into all autism. You know, he's asked me questions that I'm like, well, no one's even asked me that. You know, I'm like, well, let me think about that. How was my pregnancy? You know, things that really made a huge difference in why I think my son has autism. And, you know, we've dove into it multiple times.
And most moms want to know, you know, the why.
Yeah,
you know,
was it my fault?
Yeah,
Did
exactly.
I do something wrong? Did I not listen to somebody? You know,
and again, what we're finding is that there's multiple things that can create the autism. Let's say dysregulation. You know, and it's stuff that's that again, everybody is told to do. So if you know, anyone who has a child who is running fever after an MMR vaccine will be told to rotate Tylenol and Motrin. If you take acetaminophen when you have fever and you're under 7 years old, you're 8 times more likely to develop autism.
Yep. And they don't tell you that.
No.
They think that you're, and so whenever my daughter, she'll be 3 in December, but whenever she started getting vaccinated, I started seeing the signs with it. We've talked about it in my own personal parenting. We've stepped away. We've walked away from it because of the issues that she had with it. And it's obviously in our genes, you know, and so it's scary. It's very scary.
And I wouldn't, some of it may be genetic, but again, it's easy. So, and genetics is really, we're very very delicate, okay? But we're also very resilient. And so we're born with like a template. But that template literally changes every time you take a breath. That template changes every time you eat a meal.
Your environment, everything.
Yes. And so they have some kind of persistence in their environment or in their diet that's causing like this persistent situation. If you could get them out of the loop, like if let's say you have a fever, you take Tylenol, sorry, don't want to go the brand. You take acetaminophen, persamitol, that's what it's called. You take persamitol, it's going to wreck your liver.
Yeah.
It 100% will wreck your liver. But your liver will grow back. Your liver will regenerate within a couple of weeks. So it's only if you were constantly taking Tylenol with a fever, right? Or, sorry, acetaminophen, persinomol. Sorry, Tylenol, Bristol Myers Squibb, whatever you are. No offense. No more. Yeah, you can see this stuff on NIH.gov, though, so it's all out there. But unless you're doing something, you know, persistently, you know, you'll heal, right? So for them, there's some persistence, right, that's constantly kind of, the situation is set up by, you know, MMR and persamitol, you know, but then it's precipitated, it's continued through something.
Yeah.
And we're not quite, and it could be several somethings. Okay, you know how sensitive they are.
Yeah, very.
If I am oversensitive to, let's say, dust, I'd say about the same percentage of people who have autism have dust allergies. That's kind of interesting. Okay, so if I'm oversensitive to dust and I'm constantly having an allergic reaction to dust, what that does is that causes an inflammatory response. That inflammatory response, if it's bad enough, will cause something called ROS, reductive oxidative stress. ROS wrecks your ability to oxygenate lipids, which does the same thing that versamitol in a fever will do. It wrecks your ability to deal with polyunsaturated fatty acids. So there's many things that could be causing autism. It's no doubt caused by oxidative stress, 1,000% oxidative stress. And 1,000%, it's wrecking their ability to deal with polyunsaturated fatty acids. So that's what causes all these different symptoms. But what the persistence is, we're close, and again, I'm putting some things in our newer formulas. The thing that I'll give, to you today, again, we'll have some stuff that if I see some things that I think I'll see, that'll tell me that we're closer to what that persistence is.
And I'm going to make sure that now that I have my full bottles of everything to really document on my own too, to be able to show people like what we're using. Now that I found a medicine that is consistent and, I can get support with you guys I'm excited to really, really dive into like how he is different throughout the day with it.
Yeah, cool.
Do you think, I'm not sure if this is actually on the market yet or not, but those who are medicating their children, not medicating their children, but helping their children medicinally with all of this, is it beneficial to start using like a sticker system to where they can point to what they're feeling like?
Yeah.
And you can put that in the journal for them. Is that out there in the market currently?
That's a really good idea.
That's a good idea, yeah.
It is hard because...
Nobody take that because I'm currently working on it.
Yeah, it's hard
No, that's a good idea.
If they're not
When you
verbal,
get that done, let us
Yeah.
know.
And with my son, he has
I'd like to pick you
developmental
all three.
delays.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
even though he's 7, he's about a 3-year-old. So asking him like, hey, how do you feel off this? He's just going to be like, how do you feel off this? He'll just repeat mainly what
what
I'm
you
saying.
said. But
He
it's
doesn't
so
know.
important,
Yeah.
if they can offer that feedback.
But something like that.
Yeah.
Are you happy face or are you sad
just
face?
a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Simple,
Yeah,
simple,
or like
simple.
angry face or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So if
And
you-
the other,
but more
the-
so like
the-
tailored to like them in a fun space, not like a emoji.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so the other thing that would help do is, there's things that, so again, the conditions caused by, oxidative stress. There's things in the environment that cause oxidative stress. So if you go swimming in a chlorine swimming pool, that's going to cause oxidative stress. So, it may be that when he gets out of the pool, he has a meltdown. Well, why? I don't know why. But again, that's a time to, potentially, how do you feel and, document kind of after exposure to something
Then
that
you
could
know when
be.
to medicate and how to medicate and when at
Exactly.
time. I mean, it's
Yeah,
Try
and,
to
and what,
avoid.
reacted. But that's a really good idea.
Could you imagine if you could do that with yourself?
Oh, yeah.
I know, I'm 32 years old and I still don't know, so I try to give him
Seriously.
some slack at 7.
I'm having
like,
anxiety right now. Wait, let me write down what just happened.
Yeah, you can avoid it. Like whenever I skip
exactly.
lunch and at the end I'm all mad because I did. I'm
You're
like, if I
hangry.
can just eat, like I know
What if-
myself
yeah.
I need to eat before,
Yeah.
So, anyway, everybody, Chip, you guys smoke weed,
Yeah, do you
Yes, we
medicate?
do.
Like,
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
I want to know
Yeah.
what's your favorite strain?
Oh, you go first.
I never know what I'm smoking. I seriously don't know what I'm drinking. I don't know what my tablet is. I don't
I
know
like
what I'm
this.
smoking. I trust him, and I feel good. So I'm trusting.
We smoke a lot of, I would say, sativa dominant, hybrids. I mean, I'm a little tweaky, right? So I can't,
little?
yeah, too much sativa, not so good for me.
The squirrel on
Driving
ice.
around.
Somebody drops a book behind me and I jump 6 feet.
Yeah.
He will. You should see him at home with the dogs make noise. Oh, what is that?
Yeah, so I get a little tweaky.
Hyper vigilant. What?
But we take, she is a 2-level spinal fusion patient, and I have a bad back. And so when we get home at night, we take a pretty strong herbal cocktail.
I'm a pain
And
relief.
that really helps with pain. It's a good mood thing, so it's got a bunch of turmeric and black pepper and licorice and
Licorice,
clove
really
and
Right.
kava and
That sounds
wormwood.
delicious.
It's a antidepressant, but it's also a pain reliever. It's just a feel good.
And what is
Which
it?
That sounds
yeah,
great.
which
It's,
It's
we
just-
don't have a name
I
for
just-
it. It's just we call it
Our
our
stuff.
botanical wine.
Yeah.
But we have these little defender shots, but we're gonna extend what we're doing.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what's in there.
Well, there's some
of
of
it.
No,
that,
we-
but we're gonna make more shots. We're actually gonna put in a kava bar right over here in this part of the store, so we can help people if they are having issues with addiction or alcoholism or anything. We can create an herbal therapy or herbal shot to kind of help them stay away from
And
things.
these shots,
Yeah.
or they end up being, you're taking probably 5 to 15 grams of herbs, extracted herbs in a shot.
It's just food.
Yeah, and it's just food. But herbs are so powerful, but we generally don't take enough to really, what's in our spice cabinet, we're just putting on food, right? You're not going to take
Spicy.
a teaspoon of turmeric, right? But if you did take a teaspoon of turmeric, you'd really understand kind of the power of that herb. And so we're always trying to figure out, how to translate that power to smaller
It should make your head
formats.
tingle.
But the extracting in a liquid form is really good. There's no, and when you just look at the pain scale, again, what is pain? Well, this is not research backed, this is complete theory. But I think pain is a way that our body gives us feedback that we need something, right? So it's the only way our bodies can tell us, hey, we need something. And again, generally the things that we need, we live in abundance. I mean, they come from plants.
Right. I experience a lot of pain, I guess.
You can, and again, there's no
something.
amount. And I give away stuff all the time, so I give away something right now. Again, buy our comforting these tablets because all this science is in there. But if you want to try at home, licorice and clove in quantity. So 5 grams, 2.5 grams of licorice, 2.5 grams of clove. Put it in a tea. Make sure you drink all the herb. It'll get just about any signaling type pain. I mean, like shingles
Really?
pain. Yeah.
I'll get you a sample before you.
I use
okay.
smokable herbal blends myself, and I love that you all have lemon balm in here because that's like one of my main ingredients for my smokable herbal
I have
blend.
a
Nice.
big lemon balm bush in my
Yes.
Do you,
backyard.
Do
It's
do
so
you use
beautiful.
sage in your smokables?
Not yet, but I have been researching the sage part for sure.
You'll like
mugwort.
Mugwort,
I
I
saw the
smoked
catnip,
mugwort
yeah.
myself, but
Yep.
I haven't introduced it to everyone because it's also expensive.
Yeah, no, it is. Catnip is a good
I
one
saw
too.
that in some of
Yeah.
the stuff that you guys
Yeah,
had.
yeah. It's really interesting when you start blending herbs, with which you're going to find out. You get a little bit different high, a head high, a little bit more colorful sometimes. Colors stand out a little bit more narcotic, I guess, more kind of opiate-ish.
It's kind of like more blissful.
Yeah.
And especially when you're able to, like you said, the terpenes is where it's at. When you're able to heighten the terpene
Yes.
profile of the bud. So say if you have something that's very high in beta-caryophyllene, you want to pair that with some rosemary.
Yes. Yes.
So that's,
Oh, nice.
so
Yeah.
that's what I've been doing.
That's a good blend.
And rosemary, super good antioxidant, right? So I use rosemary a lot in
great
my
for
autism
pets, too.
formulation.
Is it?
So
Yes.
yeah, and it's really we put
We
it in our
give
dog
rosemary.
food.
We make this casserole for our dogs, and we make them homemade food. But they get rosemary and chicken livers and turkey and all kinds of
They get
stuff.
a
Spoiled dog.
They're so
Yeah.
good. They're
They-
spoiled.
It's omega-3. It's interesting. How do you fuel your body, right?
Yeah.
Well, we fuel our body by what we eat. Okay, well, it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Right.
Yeah.
We fuel our body, or our body, let's say, runs on the chemical mediators that we build from things we stick on a triglyceride. Okay? Saturated fat, monounsaturated fat, and polyunsaturated fatty acids. So everything we need to run our body comes off of those 3 types of fats. Okay? How many do you eat? Are you eating saturated fat? I mean, we assume that we're eating.
Yeah.
We assume we're eating
Is that
saturated
on the back of this
fat.
package?
Yeah. We assume we're eating saturated fat because of like McDonald's and all that, but McDonald's really
You
isn't
take that
saturated fat. That's trans fat, and trans fat is horribly shitty for us,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
but bad for us.
Don't worry.
Live
Okay.
broadcast.
No, you can cuss. It's
No,
okay.
that's
Yeah.
fine. So saturated fat is where cholesterol. Again, saturated fat's butter. Saturated fat is
Bacon.
bacon, right?
Bacon
so
fat's
bacon
good.
grease, best thing in the world to cook in. Seriously, we all need to go back to it.
Yeah.
That's probably why my
Yep.
grandmother always used to keep it in a
Yes.
crystal
We should all be
container.
doing
We
that.
should all
We
begin
should
to do that.
doing
It doesn't go
Bacon
bad.
grease, real
Yes.
butter.
Saturated
Yes.
fat, because guess what comes from? We've all heard that we're vitamin D deficient, right? Okay. Well, again, so here's how our model works. Where does vitamin D come from? Right. So you can definitely take it, supplement for it, but naturally, how does it come in our diet?
Yeah.
Well, it comes from a precursor, a longer molecule that gets broken down into vitamin D, and that's what metabolism is. You pull things into cells, and cut them up based on your enzymes, which are expressed by DNA and RNA. So that's all that is, genetics, DNA, RNA express enzymes that cut up fatty acids into lesser fatty acids. But again, where does vitamin D come from? What comes from something we all know a lot about, cholesterol. So if you're vitamin D deficient, are you cholesterol deficient?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are.
It's
And you can be
It's such a
cholesterol.
mathematician.
You can be cholesterol deficient, even though you have high cholesterol. Because what we measure when we measure cholesterol, we're not really measuring cholesterol. We're measuring something called LDLs and HDLs, right? So low density lipoproteins and high density lipoproteins. Those are cells that carry cholesterol. They also carry triglycerides. So when your body needs cholesterol you need for your brain, you need for cells, you need it for structure, you need it for vitamin D, and you need a lot of it. So when your body needs cholesterol, it screams, "Give me some cholesterol!" And your liver starts sending up HDLs, right? Or LDLs. Yeah, LDLs. So LDLs are the way that you take cholesterol to your body. And again, if your LDLs are high, again, your body's needing a lot of cholesterol, so your LDLs get high at times, you have high cholesterol, right? So if you measure high LDL, that just means your body is trying to find cholesterol, to use cholesterol. If you're deficient in saturated fat, you're going to have high LDL because your body's going to be trying to find it.
okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So again, where does vitamin D come from? Vitamin D comes from cholesterol. Where does cholesterol come from? Cholesterol comes from saturated fat.
Give me the potato chips. I'm just kidding.
That's trans fat.
Stay away
Butter.
from the
Oh,
corn.
yeah. But go back to grandma. Go back to what grandma
Yeah,
used
there
to
you
cook.
go.
Yeah, butter.
Yeah, exactly. Real
bacon.
butter. All the vegan audience are like,
Yeah, they're going,
Sorry guys, you got chia seeds. That's about all you got.
yeah. No, you got avocados. So
Oh, you got avocados.
avocados, great source of saturated.
Yeah.
You can find anything in vegan, but the biggest things that we need really, again, so the vitamin D, cholesterol, saturated fat example is a good one. If you're estrogen deficient or testosterone deficient, same pathway. Those all come from cholesterol. Those all come from saturated fat. Any sex hormone comes from cholesterol. Yeah, who knew? So the same thing happens on your polyunsaturated fatty acid side, your omega-3, omega-6 side. But your body can kind of reclaim saturated fat, and it can kind of reclaim monounsaturated fat. So you can kind of stick those on a triglyceride if you don't eat them, as long as you have eaten them in the past. Polys, you gotta eat. Okay? If you don't eat omega-3 and omega-6, omega-6s are what build your two main endocannabinoids. Okay? Anandamide and 2-AG come from omega-6 fatty acids. So if you don't eat omega-6 fatty acids, you're not making endocannabinoids. Your body's going to suffer. You're not going to be able to regulate. You're going to have some disease state based on your genetics because you can't regulate fully. And if you're eating a lot of omega-6s, now you can regulate. Omega-3s break down into immune mediators, okay? So COVID, how do we defend against COVID? T cells. Where do T cells come from? Omega-3 fatty acids. So, yeah.
He
Again,
teaches classes every month. He has one coming October 23rd.
October 23rd.
yeah. But again, cannabis kind of teaches us about this endocannabinoid system. Once we learn about the endocannabinoid system, that opens our mind to genetics and diet and food and how much control we have over our health. And we have tons of control over our health. So that's what's coming.
Yeah. I love it. And like you said, it's just like so many different pathways open up
Yeah.
every day. Every minute.
Every minute.
I'm sure for you.
Yeah, his brain's always going.
Yeah. But anyway, I can totally see that you are a scientist and a mathematician and a very high IQ individual.
Thank you.
I respect you very much.
Thank you.
And I respect you very much.
Thank you. Ditto.
You have always been so nice to be around, knowledgeable, and someone that really cares
Thank
about
you.
this community. So thank you.
Yes,
Thank you guys.
so
You're gonna make me
much.
go teary-eyed. No, I love this industry, and I love, I love watching it grow and watching everybody get successful. I like watching my friends with their stores. I have one opening her store November. Well, it's already open, but 420 Utica. She'll be opening
yes.
on
She's
the
such a sweetheart.
5th, and
Yes.
so I'm so
Cricket.
proud of her. Cricket, yeah.
Yeah.
But the Throwdown and Bazaar.
Yeah,
so
we'll be doing
that's
that
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
be there.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's fun. I love seeing this kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
this is a really good thing that's going to bring the community together, and I think it's a new way for expos to kind of operate too,
Yeah.
because it's solving a
Yeah.
problem. It's helping industry. It's bringing our growers, processors together so they can do business with each other.
Absolutely.
And sell to dispensaries and then talk to those patients. Patients can meet who's making their medicine. So I'm really excited about this.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
got a chance to talk to him, and it's more about the community, and it's not just about cannabis.
Yeah.
Right.
It's about the
Everything.
lifestyle.
Education,
Yeah, it's
education.
a culture
It's
now.
culture.
And the other thing that's about is, some of you guys have probably done cannabis trade shows. I mean, we've all been at cannabis trade shows. You guys have been there, and there's kind of two kinds of cannabis trade show, right? So there's the fun festival, the Cannabis Cup model, let's say, which kind of Harvest Fest was and Green Grow was, and, a lot of them are. And then there's kind of the old trade show, Comdex model is what I call it, because I'm old. I used to go to these computer shows in the 90s in Vegas, but it's the same thing, so it's booths, and, you walk down the booths, and people are giving away
Right.
stuff, pretty
More
girls,
industry
cars.
trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, if you're an exhibitor at one of those, I exhibit at a cannabis trade show. When we go exhibit as New Pharma Truemedx, we're there to take orders.
And we want to sell stuff. We don't
I mean-
want to stand there and look pretty.
Yeah, I'm not there to be pretty. I'm not there to.
Well, I mean, you
Meet
should
location.
at least try.
Yes.
Chip. I mean,
He's
seriously.
very pretty.
Come on.
But you know what I mean. I
You
mean, you pay your $2,500 booth fee, in the hopes that you're
Yeah.
going to kind of recover
Yeah.
that $2,500.
Right, yeah, for
You
sure.
know, and the model now is, but you get your ego stroked because
Yeah.
we'll have you speak. Oh, we really want you on this panel, or we'll have you speak to 5 people, or whatever, right, for your $2,500. But that model's broken. That model's broken because people don't get orders. If you go to CannaCon, Rocky with what seed company they have, so.
Brothers Graham.
Brothers Graham, yeah, I watched him get a bunch of
he's
orders,
not-
right?
yeah.
So some people kind of get orders at these shows, so it's the kind of right thing to do. But a company like ours, that's either not the right show or it's not designed right. This kind of show, again, it's all about doing orders, right? So
Yeah.
again, if you want to come get orders, come sign up as a processor or a grower. Sign up for the show because that's exactly what it's going to be about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and everything else that's involved. It's
Yeah.
going to be fun.
And it's
Yeah,
going
it's
to be
gonna be
fun.
fun.
Any cannabis event is going to have an
Yeah,
aspect of fun just because we're
absolutely.
fun people. But, what that event looks like, I don't know that anybody's really figured that out. And to me, I think of the events that I used to go to as like a franchisee. So we were a franchisee in a system called Right at Home, which was senior care. And you'd go to a yearly convention, and at that convention, you'd have different tracks. So it might be financial, learn how to maximize the value in your business, or when and how to sell your business, or whatever. It might be how to deal with employees. It might be how to deliver care to a patient. It might be how to do better record keeping, how to hire a nurse, whatever it is. But they have these different education tracks that I could kind of go and pick and choose from. and
We'd
go to
always
different
come
stuff.
back so empowered. Okay, we can do
Yeah.
this, and
Yeah.
we can do
Yeah.
all these different
Yeah.
things in our business now that we didn't know how to do before.
Yeah.
And those classes might have been taught by a vendor, and in that case, it's a good opportunity for the vendor to sell his stuff. And you got to active, or it might be taught by another person, or whatever it is. But you walk away from those learning something, So I think there's two kinds of event. There's always going to be the fun event, or any of these events can have fun around them. But the educational event kind of looks like that, right? Where you're really having, and that's more of I think a patient event where they're getting educated, and then maybe they're booths and they're getting giveaways or whatever, and dispensaries are kind of trying to get them as customers. That kind of event, or you have an event like this that they're going to do, where it's more of a co-op. With taking orders and kind of showing what you've got.
Right.
But the model that we have, everybody's people are getting ready to spend a whole lot of money, go out to Las Vegas and hobnob around. And I'm sure business is going to be done and people will get orders and all that. But at the same time, is the juice worth the squeeze? You know, for me or you, you know, if Herbage went out there and got a booth at that thing, you know, would it be worth it?
I'd go out there and hang out.
Yeah, I know. It'd be fun. Yeah, no joke.
So yeah, I mean, that's one thing I like about the Cowboy Cup coming up is because it's like it's more of like an environment of appreciation for the culture and lifestyle. At the same time, you know, you're propping up these great growers in the industry in Oklahoma, and so it's not necessarily this, hey, let's, you know, just all out party, but it's, of course we're going to have a good time, of course we're going to enjoy ourselves, because that's part of this medicine. One of the major parts of this medicine for me is that I enjoy it. And I enjoy my life whenever I medicate.
And the Cowboy Cup, you know, is and that's that's a little different. You know, he's done a really good job with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that kind of atmosphere, I really see that can just come out, and it's kind of like the bazaar thing, but just on a little bit grander scale.
Yeah, no, I agree. For sure. Yeah. So the model, this sort of let's say Cannabis Cup model and the Comdex
pay
model.
to have a square while people walk by, and if you don't have somebody dressed up a certain way, then they might stop by.
You know,
I get it.
Like a festival, I won't name the festival, but might want education, and that might seem like a good idea, but in reality, that might not be such a good idea. It might be a big bust, right? So we're still kind of trying to, find the way of the event, I would say.
Well, I think whatever you're doing, you're navigating it well, no matter what. I mean, apparently. So you're doing things right.
Thanks.
Thanks.
But I really appreciate you guys coming on the show.
For sure.
We are going to go ahead and close out. If there's anything else that you'd like to say?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Thank goodness for so I'll say this. I'm at times I'm a man on a mission, right? And at times I get sideways with people, and I don't mean to. I'm just a man on a mission. I mean, I'm really hell bent on getting some things done. So I'm very grateful for this one because she saves me, and I
get my head bit off sometimes, and I just have to take it, and it's okay.
So I want to say thank you to my wife for helping me, help people understand what I'm about. She kind of helps with that, and so
she definitely does.
You guys are on it together.
We are.
It's
We're the best
good
team.
partnership.
We're a good team.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right.
Until next time. We'll see you soon.